The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Hello, and welcome back to the show. In this short Empathy Expansion Kit episode, we are discussing authentic storytelling. I'm Stephen Sakach here with Tullio Siragusa. Hey, Tullio.
Hey, welcome back. Happy to have everybody join us today.
So I think the first thing you need to do with authentic storytelling is be authentic. You got to be about it, right? We recently did episodes on financial services and automotive scandals, and I think back to that Wells Fargo ad where you've got the stagecoach, and it's been around for a long time, and there's this whole message of trust and safety. They were there from the days of the Old West, and now scandals are breaking loose, and that messaging just straight up falls flat, right?
They fell off the wagon.
Yeah, they fall off the wagon. And once they started creating fake accounts for consumers like Tullio, that trust was long gone. So first off, if you're going to talk the talk, you must walk the walk. You got to be about it. We've done a lot of podcasts trying to help companies be about it, because that's the first, most important step 1 and 2 and 3 is definitely be about it. So though, let's get into authentic storytelling, assuming you're doing things right and working for your customers' best interests. Let's tell that story. Tullio, what are some of the key characteristics here of authentic storytelling?
Well, first, I want to say the beautiful thing about being authentic and genuine is you never have to remember what nonsense you said. you just consistently tell the truth. That's the beautiful thing about it. But
yeah, it's a good life lesson for people. I mean, just act like everyone can hear you at any time whenever you're talking about stuff, and you'll be good.
Exactly. You never have to remember what you said, because it's always the truth. So that just makes you genuine. And the stories, really, the key characteristics is about being genuine. You want to tell real stories that are honest. And that requires also avoiding exaggerating or manipulating, using coercion tactics, being true to your brand's values and mission, right? So if you haven't established those values and mission, that's probably a good idea to do that, because you can't be genuine and purposeful without actually having designed the backbone of your business. I'm surprised how many companies haven't defined their values as a company or their purpose as a company. That would probably be a good starting point to be able to be effective at this. And then it's about sharing real stories that are not fabricated and exaggerated. In fact, there was a book by Jerry Vass. It's called Soft Selling in a Hard World. Great book. A little hard to find, but if you could get your hands on it, I highly recommend it. And when I was at PricewaterhouseCoopers, we actually had implemented this system within the audit practice and the consulting practice about not using puffery in marketing or in messaging or in sales, right? Puffery is like, when you do business with us, we're awesome, or we're the best of the best, just puffery. Like you're going to get an extreme awesome savings, just all these words that mean absolutely nothing. To avoid that puffery, to actually be factual, and that required being really diligent about understanding what percentage of value do we create when we do X, right? And so the message was like, when you work with us during an audit, we can increase your valuation generally between 12 to 13%, something that was factual, because it talked to the company's and the auditor's ability to capture stuff that someone would otherwise miss. So that was actually not only genuine, but it was also memorable, because people don't remember puffery, but they do remember factual numbers.
Tullio, that reminds me, and I just thought of this just now, back in the days of when Google was first launching, the paid search, and I think when Yahoo, back before when they were GoTo and Overture launching paid search, they banned the use of the word best in your headlines and your search ads, because I think everyone was in there just the best, shoes, the best, but it was just they were stuck on this puffery with no factual backing of it at all. And so it's like they were like, no more. You can't use that. You can't use best anymore.
It doesn't work. So you got to be honest about your brand's journey, and you got to include your successes and your failures and create transparency. That builds trust and credibility. Share real experiences of your customers and employees that are relatable, both the great and not so great, right? And focus on creating true value, which is based on stories that align with the brand's core values and mission. This is about reinforcing authenticity with your messaging in a consistent way. And all this creates more relatability, right? Relatable stories resonate more deeply with audiences because they reflect their own experience. They see themselves in those experiences. And that's the whole point, that's the resonance, is to be able to say, oh, I see myself in that. I feel myself in that. I vibe with that. So that's the moment where someone is becoming the customer because they're relating to the story. And so that's the whole point, and that's when they feel understood and valued. So it's about understanding your audience. We've talked about this before, really digging deep in being empathetic and curious about what it is that matters to them, not just on solving their pain points and their interests, but their desire, right? What's the fulfillment they're looking to get out of it? Is it the suit they're looking to buy, or is what the suit can make them feel like when they show up at an interview, kind of thing, right? We talked about that a couple of episodes before. And then just talk about everyday scenarios. People want to relate to things that are real, very approachable, very human. And always be empathetic. Empathy in your stories, how you address real challenges and emotions in those audiences' experiences is key. And that's the ticket, right? But the key thing that I want to go back to is all this goes back to tying into your core values as a business, your core ideologies and your purpose. So if you haven't done that, please do that. Make that a priority. Get your employees involved. Do a nice overview of who you guys are as a business and put it out there, and then live by it and hold everybody accountable to it, because then you stand for something. And then your clients will resonate with that. And you'll attract people that stand for the same things, because like attracts like. So that would be the advice on that end.
You mentioned relatability. And in regards to relatability, one of the things you can do is define the antagonist, that opposing force that creates the conflict, drives the narrative. So in marketing, the antagonist, it doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be Darth Vader or, to make Luke Skywalker look. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be a problem, a challenge, or a misconception, that your product or service helps overcome. I think of like Apple had these Get a Mac commercials where they were very relatable, because they presented this one guy in a suit as the PC and this other guy in just very casual outfit. And the PC is trying to promote its, Microsoft's Vista operating system, which was not beloved. And there was all these relatable problems that, the guy in the suit would end up having. And because we've all been there with our PCs, and it's just problem after problem after problem. And so they made these very basic, funny commercials that were very relatable and very authentic, but also, and they were brutal too for the PC. They were just brutal. And, the Mac character really didn't have to do much there. It was really the PC character just driving the story, and the Mac guy was there without any problem.
What's interesting about that commercial, it's also tied into the whole Apple approach to the market at the time. Steve Jobs, masterful design thinking practitioner, he created a culture, of the cool kids use the Mac, and the creative people use the Mac, the crazies use the Mac, right? So what better way to showcase that? Someone in a casual way using the Mac instead of the guy in the suit, or the monkey suit, or the image of the stiff in a suit, right? So visually, the whole thing was a great way to maintain this authenticity of this brand of, hey, you're laid back, you're one of the cool kids, you're going to use a Mac, you want to be the stiff with the suit, good luck with that, right? It had this underlying message that continued to enhance their overall strategy, which was to attract those who want to be the creative, cool types, the crazy types, the people who do things differently. And it worked, So kudos. That was staying true to their genuine message and their approach to the marketplace as well. even when making a comparison.
Yeah, that's part of that, like you mentioned, identifying the core values that you're about, and you'll let that stuff shine through in your ads. And so I want to really quickly touch just a couple quick areas. Make your stories customer centric. Use some behind the scenes insights, right? Humanize your stories to people. This is us. We're people. This is what we're doing. So that's it for this episode. As a reminder, Wednesdays we are running these short segments like the Empathy Expansion Kit we're doing right now. And tomorrow we run our interviews with guests. So check that out. And we'll see you next time on the Bliss Business Podcast.